And your bad deeds will be the fuel for your fire. And it is this belief in Qiyamah, that there will be one day a Qiyamah, that should truly stop us from doing many bad deeds. But unfortunately, like I say, a lot of people choose to ignore it. And not only that, but a lot of people counteract the argument of Qiyamah. For instance, there are a lot of people who are fantasists. And even these fantasists are mentioned in the Quran. Wherever you see the word hasaba in Quran, it is mentioning the people who are fantasists, in that they fantasize as to what is going to happen. For instance, I'm sure many of you have heard or will have heard from people who will say, oh, there is no day of judgment. There is no heaven and there is no hell. They are fantasists. Because they have the void of Iman in their brains and in their hearts. Therefore, the shaitan fills it with this fantasy. That there is no judgment, there is no God, there is no heaven, there is no hell. So therefore, whatever we like to do, we do. And everything that we live for is on this world. And we only have one life. Therefore, let's live it to the full max. And no matter what we do, there's not going to be any accounting. This is fantasy. Or even worse, this fantasy sometimes is with Muslims themselves. They say, I have the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali Madad, but I don't pray.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Hussainiyat
Zindabad.
Hussainiyat
Zindabad.
Yazidiyat
Murdabad.
Yazidiyat
Murdabad.
Nare Haydari.
Ya Ali.
Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Some people fantasize that just because they have the hope of Amir al-Mu'mineen, yet they do not carry out any of the other wajibats, or even any of the other good deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has recommended us, that this will be sufficient for them. And they will also end up in the heavens, just because purely they have the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen. If this was the case, we have so many different groups that have this love of Amir al-Mu'mineen. We have the groups of Alawis, who are very famous groups. They have this love of Amir al-Mu'mineen, yet they do not believe in the Holy Prophet, or they don't believe in the Quran or in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just having this love is not enough. Or some people, they say the martyrdom of Hussein is enough for us, and this will carry us through. But yet they do not do any of the other actions. If we believed and truly had faith in Qiyamah, and truly understood that the amount of questioning on the other side, we will not be so lax in our daily duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is fantasies. These people fantasize. And they say we have good hearts, we have good intentions, and this will be enough to save us. And this is amongst the Muslims. Yet we have the other fantasists, the majority, 1 billion Muslims, who they pray, and alhamdulillah, they do pray really well. I must admit, credit where credit is due. As Shias, we have to speak out wherever we see the haqq, the truth. And I must admit, the Ahl Sunnah brothers, they have some very good qualities. One of them is their namaz. Although the namaz itself is batil, the action itself is batil, because the namaz without the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is not accepted.
Subhanallah.
And this is a hadith that Imam Hussain ibn Ali, he says, that if a man for 70 years prays his namaz 5 times a day, does the wuzu for this namaz with the water of Zamzam, he prays between Rukn and Maqam in Masjid al-Haram 5 times a day. He prays there, and he prays so much that he becomes a bag of bones. He becomes skin and bones. This namaz, with the wilayat, without the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, this man will be thrown into hell. Because without the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, this namaz is not accepted. So forget about this namaz, because Allah says in the Quran that their prayers around the house is just a game, it's a sport. is yoga, exercising. That is the truth behind the namaz. But seriously, brothers and sisters, with namaz, they're very good. The jama'at in particular. Although they just stand behind anybody. And I remember one year actually, I was traveling to so-called Islamic country. And in the airport there was a prayer hall. And it was an Ahl Sunnah country, in the majority were Ahl Sunnah. And when I landed, I went to the prayer hall, and there was no one there. It was time for namaz, so I said, I'll do my namaz. So as soon as I stood to start namaz, before I realized that there was a crowd behind me all doing jama'at. Because they were facing, they saw my back, they did not see the front. They didn't realize what was going on. So, when it got to the part of Qunut, they were startled. They meant to start to themselves, what do we do now? Some of them are lifting, some are not lifting. And when the namaz finished, they realized what a mistake they had done. But this is, in a way, it's a good quality of theirs. Because they really do pray well, they pray a lot, and they pray jama'at, which is sometimes, unfortunately, in the Shias, this jama'at, this essence of unity in jama'at, which is why Allah has so strongly mentioned jama'at so many times, this, unfortunately, in the Shia communities, is a big issue. Because they come into the room, first of all, if you're young, you're not accepted anyway. Because if you're young, you can't be an imam of the namaz, jama'at. You can't be. Because they say, you're young. You have to definitely be an old man before I can pray behind you. And the other thing is, with all my brothers and sisters, is that with Shia Islam, everything our imams did, everything they taught us, was for a reason, was for a purpose. They didn't do anything without a reason. They didn't just act upon it because this is what they wanted to do. But because I have had this leave it against myself, they say, oh, you're too young, therefore I'm not going to pray behind you. And I say, well, I'm actually glad you're not going to pray behind me, because the burden on me is even more. Because the person who leads in the namaz jama'at, he has to carry the burden of everyone else. So I'm actually glad people won't pray behind me. But they say, you're very young, or your beard is not long enough. Yet our Imam al-Zaman, how old was he when he led the prayers for his father? Subhanallah. Or Imam al-Jawad, how old was he when he was shaheed? 25, younger than me. So, as Shia Muslims, to come up with these excuses, this is all batil, because we have to learn from our Imams. Therefore, the Ahl Sunnah brothers, even though they carry out their acts really well, 1 billion, let's say, there are in the world, they have this belief that what they are believing in, what their faith is, what their iman is the absolute stonewall truth. And I don't know if you've ever tried arguing against one of them. Allahu Akbar. Especially those very long bearded ones, you know, the ones that wear the short dresses, the miniskirts, you know. Allahu Akbar. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا. This is the same with them people. We say to them that what you are believing in, justify it. Justify why that first caliph was the first caliph. Bring me one justification. They can't. Bring me a justification as to why the second caliph was the caliph. They can't. I really wasn't going to go into the topic of wilayat, but I always say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before I come to these majalis that make me the microphone of Ahlul Bayt, and whatever voice transmits, this is the same. But honestly, my friends will know, my father will know, that I am one of these people, I don't get to the topic of wilayat, because for me, like I said, it is just like the daylight, it's a waste of time, really. But now I've gone down this route, let's carry it. Because I actually, what it was, a few weeks ago, I had this discussion with one of these Ahl Sunnah Jamaat, and believe me, by the end, I was spitting feathers, you know, and we got to a point, it was lakum dinakum waliyadin, you know, whatever I say, you're not going to listen, whatever you say, I'm not going to listen. And I said to him, and this was the topic we got onto, I said to him that, look, justify the first Khalif. He said, well, he was the close Sahaba, he was there when the Holy Prophet died, the Prophet liked him a lot, so on and so forth, married his daughter, and he had the same justification for the second Khalif and everything. So I said, who did he like more, Ali ibn Abi Talib or the first Khalif? Was Ali ibn Abi Talib first and foremost in all the battles, or was the first caliph? Who was the victor of Khaybar? Who was the victor of Khandaq? Who was the victor? He said Ali ibn Abi Talib. I said, okay, forget about everything else. I say to you, I accept Ali ibn Abi Talib as the fourth caliph. Is this correct? He said yes. He got very happy. He's got victory. So I said, okay, who was the fifth caliph? He paused for a second and he had to think. Then he said, Muawiyah. So I said, okay, I will accept that as well from you. But tell me one thing. How can we have Ali ibn Abi Talib as the fourth caliph? And how can we have Muawiyah as the fifth caliph? He said, why? Why can't we? I said, because the Holy Prophet said, Ali ma'al haq wal haqu ma'al Ali. That the truth was with Ali and Ali is with the truth. These two cannot be separated. Yet who fought against Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Battle of Siffin? Who was it? He said, Muawiyah. So I said, either Ali was a Batil Khalif or Muawiyah. Which one is more likely?